was recently listening to a podcast where Christopher McQuarrie, the director of the last few Mission Impossible films, said something that's been rattling around in my head. He was talking about how seriously he takes audience feedback and how he and crews tailor and modify the movie after test screenings to provide the greatest experience for the greatest number of people. The pros and cons of this approach to filmmaking aside, towards the end of the interview, he basically says, "There's often things that you may find frustrating about it that someone else needed to enjoy the film." While this thought process isn't revolutionary by any means, I think it sums up my stance on the new Superman film. If something didn't have a gripping emotional effect on me, it very well could have had the opposite effect on someone else. If you take a look at some of the overarching themes from the movie, Clark struggling with his public persona and the influence of Superman on intervening in world affairs, Lex Luthor's jealousy of Superman and wanting to publicly expose and humiliate him, Clark exploring his personal motivations for why and how he strives to do good. All of these plot points were already recently addressed in the seemingly universally hated Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. As someone who has a deep love for both of those films and appreciates what Snyder did with the characters, I definitely know that these interpretations didn't resonate with many people. However, something that I don't think people really grasp is that those of us that liked Snyder's version really liked it.
Huge fan.
Oh.
I got a lot of my insights right there.
Really?
All of the choices that you may have thought were dumb or didn't make sense had the exact opposite effect on me. Any plot holes or bad character decisions, some of which I probably addressed in one or two of my other videos, I thought were interesting creative choices or just made sense for the characters. I think as a fan of the creative liberties Zack took with the character, like a darker tone and deconstructionism filled with religious allegories, it would be hypocritical of me to not welcome ulterior changes to characters. For example, in this version, Superman's parents didn't want him to be a beacon of hope for the people of Earth, but they wanted him to rule over and spread his seed.
Look, I know it seems like dirty work, but Chris, you gotta spread that seed until your sack is empty. And Meg, you gotta clear away all that brush so he can plant it deep where it needs to be.
I can see this upsetting traditional Superman fans, but honestly, it's a change that welcomes interesting character development for the character, so I don't see a problem with it. Now, I don't think that the exploration of this struggle was fully actualized in the film, but I admire the attempt. And yeah, I've seen people online say that the lore change to Kal-El's parents is technically comically accurate, but I don't think that that excuse on its own always works. We have had 80 plus years of comic books, so almost anything is technically accurate by this point. And it would be ignorant to not admit that some of those comics didn't just suck.
What the fuck?
Stupid fucking book.
We should be judging the changes based on the thematic merit in creative writing, not just whether or not it's been done in the past already. From my perspective, Snyder already tackled the topics of this film in a more fleshed out and interesting way. And my main negative emotion with the new DCU is just that Snyder didn't get to finish his 5-film arc. If we had a fully actualized story to look back on, then new interpretations would be more welcomed because we would have our own complete version.
What a waste. What a waste.
But right now, I can still revisit Man of Steel and BVS. If you needed this iteration of Superman to feel the same emotions that I already have of genuine love, empathy, and emotional resonance, then that's great. It's nice to have you here. Just like Snyder's take meant the world to me, maybe this one means the world to you. I don't think that any filmmaker sets out to make a bad film, and I still have various problems with this movie, like the rushed or unnuanced character development, the oversaturated and yet somehow bland cinematography, the unimaginative score, the overabundance of bathos and silly jokes.
I'm not messing around, I'm doing important stuff.
The amateurish pacing, but hey, it's entirely valid for other people to find joy and value in that. If my list of grievances baffles you and you think I'm completely wrong, there's not much more I can say. The movie just had a different effect on me than it did for you. And as an aside, I think some of the hate for the Snyder films just comes from passionate fans not being able to have their views of the character changed, or perhaps even challenged. I know that it sucks to get high expectations about something and be all excited and optimistic, just to be let down and disappointed when the final product arrives. Not because you wanted to hate it, but just because it didn't connect with you. I guess my point is, just take some time to acknowledge that when there's a new interpretation of something and there's aspects of it that you don't like, realize that those moments and changes could be vital to someone else's enjoyment that you are just personally missing out on. And this isn't an excuse for bad films or saying that critiques are invalid, but this is more of a call to realize that other people interpret things differently than you. I didn't like Superman, but I'm not going to shit on it ad nauseum just to belittle you. Why do people have the urge to denigrate things others genuinely love? And I mean, with the ever-present Snyder hate still in circulation, I kind of wish that I received some of that same courtesy. But regardless, I didn't like Superman, but I'm happy that you did.
Okay, let's go in this way.
I say let's go in that way.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you want to support the channel even further, consider joining my Patreon. You can participate in monthly Q&As and get insight into what I'm working on next. And a huge thanks to those of you who are already over there. Thanks for watching my videos.